quite a few people seem to like the last random generator tier list that I made, and I promised that if enough people liked it, I would do it again, but I would fix the tiers. Well, we're here, and I kind of just want to explain what I've actually fixed, because that's probably number one on everybody's mind. So here's the new tier list. I've kind of labeled everything as well, just so people don't forget what I mean, and what I've decided, instead of just adding a ton of tiers and making it really hard to fit on the screen, what I've decided that I'm going to do is I'm going to take away a couple tiers, or I guess combine them, because I did a little practice run with this just to see where I'd put stuff, and frankly, the middle tiers A, B, C, and D were not getting used that much. So the SSS+, I am saving for the weapons that are just so brokenly overpowered that there would be no reason not to use them if they were on the class. That's kind of the determining thing that I'm saying, where, like, literally they're better in, like, every situation than every weapon. The S tier is, like, it probably could still be added to the game. It's not unrealistic, but it would definitely be the meta. Like, kind of how the Ambassador is right now, where it's like, yeah, you might choose the Let Ranger in some situations, but the Ambassador is just, like, so meta that there really isn't a reason not to use it. It's kind of an intuitive difference. I'll if you disagree, I mean, comment, but I'll kind of walk you through why I'm putting things in S or SSS+ or just normal S as I find them. And then what I've done is I have kind of combined the A, B, and C, D tiers into above average and below average. Frankly, these were not getting that much use when I've done this before, just kind of as a test run, so I figured, like, you know what? These two tiers are kind of going to be condensed. Now, if a weapon goes in the A, B, or C, D tiers, that is really, really good. Ideally, the A, B tier, but both of these mean that this weapon that has generated can be added into Team Fortress 2, and it would actually work as a weapon, aka being balanced. If it's not in those two tiers, I'm not really going to consider it balanced, frankly, so we'll use that for the results at the end. Don't worry about that now. So that's kind of my long-winded explanation of what the tier list is going to be. A couple people were confused about this, and also, I'm going to be doing 21 weapons this time, starting with 0 and moving up to 20. I figured that, you know what, the viewers would really like this, and it's definitely not because it won't let me take the number 0 off the tier list. Also, one last thing that I wanted to point out before I start is the description of this tier list says, and I quote, "The numbers 1 through 20 each have their own wacky personalities, but can they face the test of time?" Considering that, like, people have invented mathematics, yes, I think they can face the test of time. And also, I guess 0 just doesn't have its own distinct personality. They just left that one off. So that's kind of just funny, I guess. Alright, so let's get underway with the weapon generator. Actually, you know what? Since this one was already up, we'll just count this one as 0. New wrench for the engineer. So guaranteed mini crit damage on parachuting players. Don't think that would matter that much. Combined 10 max health. It's not that much, but it's kind of fine. Plus 100% jump height while deployed, and then on hit inflicts knockback, with the only cons effectively being minus 15% firing rate on wear. Now, I'm also going to, in this one, interpret stats as they probably should be interpreted, so, like, firing rate on wear doesn't really have any precedence. I'm not gonna say, like, that makes the shotgun fire slower. It's just the wrench, okay? Like, anything that also applies the effect on kill, I'm going to assume is on hit, and I'll get to other stuff as I find them, but that's another thing that I'm going to be changing, is I'm going to assume the weapons actually function the way that they should. So as for this wrench, it just seems like it would be a really nice thing to have. The really only downside is the 15% firing speed, which, I mean, does affect repair rate, so it's not like a SSS+ weapon, but extra jump height, knockback on hit, and plus health, I think kind of... They don't really work together, but the extra jump height does make it so you can get to some really neat sentry spots without having to sacrifice your secondary slot for the Wrangler. And on hit inflicts knockback, that's not doing that much for you, but it is kind of a get-off-me tool for spies, and I mean, it certainly would have its uses. So as for this one, I'm gonna go ahead and put this in S. I think that this would be, like... Frankly, it's just a wrench that gives you free max health. The only thing you're sacrificing is... upgrade and repair. Okay, maybe that's a little bit more than the only thing. I'll put this in, like, A. This would definitely be, like, high A tier, because it's giving you just, like, more mobility and survivability, but I don't think it would be meta, simply because I think engineer meta does kind of rely on upgrade and repair rates, and this does kind of sacrifice both in the form of lower firing speed. But this would just be a nice wrench to have. I think people would get a lot of use out of it. So I would consider this, in a sense, balanced. Obviously, the jump height's a little bit extreme. But I think it would work, certainly. A new pistol for the Scout. Pros, guaranteed mini crit damage on cloak players, with the cons of minus 95% ammo pool size while deployed, and minus 30 max health. So, wait, how much does the pistol have normally? It's like 36, I think? So this would have 36 times 0.05. Oh, it has 2 ammo in the reserve. So yeah, I don't imagine you'd get that much out of it. Now, to be fair, I do not think this is quite G- material. The cons are really terrible, but it would serve the one purpose of, if there's like a bunch of spies on the enemy team, you could pretty much unload a clip into them, and it would probably kill them very, very quickly. I think 12 mini crit shots is more than enough to kill a cloak spy, and that's a really quick way that you're doing that. Really, the fact that it has one niche use is enough to save it from G-. I won't be too harsh. But that's kind of what I'm looking for in choosing those. So yeah, I'll put this in F. Not a great weapon, but not entirely useless. There is one microscopic use that it does have, and that's it. A new axe for the Pyro. Minus 45 max health effectively. I'll just do those first because it just seems to generate on all of them. Plus 15% bonus healing. Guaranteed mini crit damage on overhealed players. And regenerate 4 HP per second with the cons of... Oh my god. Minus 80% movement speed on wear. So... Quite frankly... I think this is a good candidate for G-, because, frankly, there isn't a situation where bonus healing with a cut to your normal max health by 45, mind you, and minus 80% movement speed is ever... You're never going to want to use that. There's no situation ever where that's going to be beneficial. So we're going to slap it in G-. This is, like, just the opposite of the Power Jack, where it's, like, you don't even become a turtle, you become like a snail. You're really easy to kill, and also you're just freaking slow. A new pistol for the NG. Pros, plus 5% ammo pool size, plus 70% mini crit damage resistance, and on kill slows down enemy, which I'm going to interpret as on hit slows down enemy. And the cons are minus 55% pellets per shot on wearer. Okay, so if we're gonna be really technical, right? 55% less would actually round down because there's only 1 pellet per shot on the pistol. So it would round down so you're not shooting anything. But actually, no, hold on squared, because the pistol shoots bullets and not pellets. Pellets are reserved for shotguns. So this downside actually doesn't do anything, which means that it is a direct upgrade. Now, I think the key here is the on-hit slows down enemy stat, because you can pretty much glue someone in place just by, like, WM1ing them with your pistol, and you have a little bit of resistance to mini crit damage, which I'm not really sure what that's going to get you. 70% is actually pretty significant. And it gives you plus 5% ammo pool size, which, let me do the math. Well, I guess it only gives you, like, 10 more ammo, I believe, but, it's not, like... It's there, I guess. It's more than the normal pistol does. So considering that this is just a direct upgrade from pistol, and it's a pretty good one at that, I'm going to go ahead and put this in the normal S tier. Now, the reason it's not quite SSS Plus is because, like I said, the requirement for the S or Triple S Plus is that you would only use that and literally nothing else. And I can think of plenty of situations where I'd rather have the Wrangler or the Short Circuit. They're both really good utilities, and I'm frankly not sure that a pistol on the Engineer can even make it there. But it's a direct upgrade from the pistol, and on hit slows down enemies. Like, it's a nice stat to have. It's basically the Natasha, but it's a secondary on a class who, like, doesn't even have to rev up for it. Definitely really, really good. If there was, like, a double S, like an in-between tier, I'd put it there. But for now, we'll stick to what we have. I'll put it in normal S. A new flare gun for the Pyro. Pros, 50% fire damage resistance while deployed. On kill, slows down enemy. Regenerate 2 HP per second. And then the cons are plus 70% fall damage vulnerability on wearer. This one's very interesting. So the 50% fire damage while deployed is a really nice stat. I think this would be probably why a lot of people would use it. But to be fair, on hit slows down enemy is a really, really nice thing to have on a class that values being up close to people. So if you can tag someone with your flare, you can actually just approach them and WN1 them. Now, I was considering, like, thinking about certain stats as, like, universal constant, so to speak. Like, all the flare guns should do full crits on burning players, because that's just what the flare gun does. But I decided against doing that, because that's not what all the flare guns do. Like, the Man Melter doesn't have that stat, and it doesn't, like, have that listed as a penalty. So I'm not going to, like, assume that that's something that's going to happen. I'm throwing that out there because I figured someone was going to ask. People have asked before, but I digress. On-hit slows down enemy is a really, really nice weapon to have for the flare gun, or a nice stat, I mean. And 50% fire damage while deployed kind of makes it so you can suck in pyros, and then they just, like, get closer to you, and you don't have to worry about it, really, because you have the fire damage resistance. I'm also not really sure the con would do anything. Fall damage vulnerability on pyro, especially if you don't have a mobility secondary like the detonator or the jetpack. I don't think that would really affect that much. Taking like 1.5 times fall damage would kind of suck, but it's not really make or break. I think there are plenty of reasons that you'd want to use this still. So this is kind of the same situation as the last engineer pistol that we saw, where it's like, it's a really nice thing to have, but it's not quite overpowered, I wouldn't say. There's plenty of reason why people would want to use the shotgun, or even the stock flare gun, because just getting, like, crit kills is really nice. And what it has is, like, really effective, but also kind of gimmicky, and I'm not sure I'd feel good putting that in Triple S. So I'll put it in Normal S. I honestly, I don't have that much to say about it that I've not already said about the last pistol. It's interesting that we've generated two things that are that similar. But yeah, let's move on. A new axe for the pyros. So the pros are regenerate 1 HP per second, 5% fall damage resistance, and guaranteed critical hits on mini crit boosted players, with the cons of -50 max health, almost half, like 50% bullet damage vulnerability, and -60% firing speed. Goodness gracious, the cons are stacked, and the pros are just like, they barely do anything. This one probably is saved from the clutches of G-, because guaranteed critical hits on mini crit boosted players, like, it would kind of affect things sometimes, I guess. If people were running the buff banner a lot, I mean, that's something that you could do. Actually, the more I think about it, I think this is just gonna go right in the G-, because here's the deal, right? The only situations where people are going to be mini crit boost that are basically just the buff banner, there really aren't any situations that you'd find yourself in that are that common. Like, there's the crikey, yeah, mini crit boosted players just doesn't happen that much. And the cons kind of invalidate, because this is an axe, so you do have to get up close to somebody. The cons make it really hard to do so. Like, you're either going to get OHKO'd by a bullet, like a scatter gun, I think, does actually just instant kill you with the lower max health and the bullet damage vulnerability. And also, it has lower firing speed, so you better hope you hit your first shot, otherwise you're just dead. And frankly, if there's a soldier that's mini crit boosted or a demo man or something, you can just reflect the rockets, so it's not doing anything. I don't think this serves any purpose, so I'm gonna put this in G-. I don't think, yeah, there's no reason why I would ever want to use this, because other things in Pyro's kit already function better, and I don't even think that what it's, I hate to say going for, because it's random, it's not really going for anything, but like what people would try to use it for, you wouldn't really ever get the use out of, just because it's like, it's not gonna happen due to the downsides. A new pistol for Scout and Engineer. Goodness gracious, what is that? Pros, 90% explosive damage resistance on wear, with the cons of -15 max health. Okay, this is really, really tempting to make me break my rule. 90% explosive damage resistance. I don't think you understand. That is, like, almost immune. Like, I think a normal rocket, up close, like, full ramp up, does 110 damage. It would do 11 damage. It would take, basically, like, even a crit boosted soldier would take, like, his entire chamber to kill you. and that's if he hit every shot directly on, and you could probably end up killing you, because that's on wear, too. So you could shotgun or scattergun him before he'd even have a chance to, like, get up close to you. Minus 15 max health, I don't think that is even a penalty. Like, it kind of makes your matchups worse against, like, scouts or I guess snipers are already, like, kind of a dead thing anyway, but mainly against scouts and heavies, I think your matchups are going to kind of be rough, and pyros certainly aren't going to be helped either. But you're pretty much immune to two of the most prominent classes, and, like, two of the easiest counters for scout and engineer anyway. I'm going to put this in Triple S. It's such a simple weapon, but, like, I don't think there's any reason why you wouldn't want to be running basically a, like, hard counter to what already are hard counters to Scout and Engineer. Full immunity to soldiers and Demo Man, almost, is just way too crazy, and I don't think you're going to miss the extra max health that's being taken away from you outside of that. So, I think practically this would end up being an overpowered as frick weapon. Like, you wouldn't see anybody running anything but that, and it would make scouts and demo, or yeah, like one scout or one engineer would basically have to make somebody switch to counter them. So that would be crazy if that was in the game. A new bone saw for medic. Let's see, 20% environmental damage resistance while deployed, regenerate 4 HP per second, on kill restores player to full health, and guaranteed mini crit damage on players marked for death. This one's just really stupid. I don't even know how to interpret that. I'll just say it's guaranteed full crits on players marked for death. I think that's a little bit more fair. And then the cons are minus 10% damage to buildings. Holy crap, this one's actually really good. Obviously, it's not the Uber Saw. I'll throw that one out there right now. It's kind of hard to compete with the Uber Saw just because of how much you're getting utility-wise with it. But regenerating 4 HP per second, restoring you to full health on kill, and doing mini crit damage against people who have been marked for death is, I mean, it really helps medics matchups quite a bit. Basically getting a return on investment for, like, oh, I did win the matchup in the medic melee fight, so then I'm rewarded by not having any health lost from that fight, is something that would be really good. Frankly, I'm not sure the, like, 20% environmental damage resistance and guaranteed mini crits on guaranteed crits on players marked for death would do anything. Those just kind of exist as, like, maybe you get use out of that every once in a while, but really the regeneration and the on kill, I think would really make this good. And, like, when is medic gonna be doing damage to buildings with a Zuber Saw? I don't really think it's going to be ever, so the downside is pretty much entirely negatable. So I think I'll go ahead and put this in S. This does so much for the medic, and I actually think that, because it doesn't have random crits disabled, and the medic being able to defend himself, and not only defend himself, but also be able to have absolutely no penalty if he wins a fight. Even if he takes 149 damage and he kills somebody, he's going to come out at full HP. And the extra regen is really nice. It helps medic survivability quite a bit. And was the regen on... No, the regeneration was just kind of while it's active, so, or the regeneration's on wearer, so it just gives you that. So I'll keep this in S. I legitimately think this would be a contender, probably like the lesser cousin of, but still a contender to the Uber Saw if this was in a game. And, if I was doing, like, one of the art videos, this is probably one that I would choose to make art of. That is a really, really solid concept for a weapon. A new sword for the Demo Man. This is plus 40 max health, with the cons of no random crits and minus 25% damage. This would get a lot of use in hybrid knight builds and in just, honestly, just with the normal Demo Man loadout, like grenade and sticky bomb launcher. 40 extra max health is really, really good. That puts Demo Man at 215, sorry, which kind of allows him to survive a lot. That would put him at somewhere between, like, around 330 for overheal. That would be really, really good. Honestly, I wouldn't see any reason not to run this. This is pretty much a direct upgrade for the bottle if you are playing stock Demo Man. The 25% damage and no random crits, I actually legitimately think are reasonable downsides for a weapon like this to have. I think the 40 extra max health is pretty extreme. If this was, like, actually supposed to be added to the game, I think plus 25 or even plus 10 would be something that would be a little bit more balanced. But, like, basically it just nerfs your melee capabilities. You still have the longer range, so it's not, like, that much. But it is reasonable downsides that you'd expect a weapon like this to have. This is, like, as close to a weapon that you would see in Team Fortress 2 as I think this generator has made in quite a while. So this might be a little bit of a controversial choice. I am going to put this in S or Triple S Plus. Now, the reason why I am doing that is it completely boils down to I consider stock Demo Man and Demo Knight to be different classes. Frankly, there's so much of a difference between the playstyles that I have no idea why, like, some of the weapons would even be considered in the same tier list, because that's just impossible to. In the scope of stock Demo Man, which is very popular, mind you, this would easily be the meta so hard, there would be no reason to use any other melee ever, because having over 300 health on an overhealed Demo Man is insane. Having the extra melee range has been proven by the Soldier's Whip being better at combat than his stock shovel is really, really good, and the downsides wouldn't really do anything. And while I wouldn't imagine this being that good for Demo Knight, it would certainly still get its use. But just because of how prominent it would be, like, there really wouldn't be any reason to use anything but this weapon in stock Demo Knight builds. I think S Plus is very suited for it. Now, if we're considering the entirety of Demo Man as a whole and saying, like, well, it's not, like, perfect on Demo Knight, then yeah, I could definitely put this in normal S. That's actually probably where I would put it. But by the criteria that I have put, where it's like, there wouldn't be any reason to use anything else but this, that really would be the case, because there are no downsides if you're not actively using your melee for something. A new pistol for the Scout. Pros are plus 60% firing speed, and the cons are minus 40% healing, minus 50 max health, and plus 45% environmental damage vulnerability while deployed. This one wouldn't be amazing. This does make you a little bit more of a glass cannon. Honestly, this plus 60% firing speed is, like, pretty good. Like, you're unloading a lot of bullets with plus 60%. Like, 60% is more than people would expect it to be, because, like, plus 20% on the Pretty Boy's pocket pistol makes it, like, the best choice already. It makes it do a lot more damage. So plus 60 would be really good. Having minus 50 max health and minus 40 healing would really suck. But I think this actually would occasionally have its use as, like, a really good burst option for finishing people off. So I would put this in the C to D tier. I think this is definitely closer to D than it is C. I mean, like I said, the minus 50 health kind of hurts in a lot of situations, but having a really, really strong burst option where you could easily get, like, 80 damage off on someone near you when you're out of scattergun shots is pretty nice, and I don't think the 60% should be discounted at all. A new pair of gloves for the heavy weapons guy. Pros are plus 60% environmental damage resistance while deployed, on kill slows down the enemy, and the cons are plus 40% explosive damage vulnerability on wearer. Someone sent me a list in the comments last time of what environmental damage actually affects. It wasn't that many things. I still kind of agree with my original sentiment that, like, oh, even though there are a lot of things that classify as environmental damage, the easy way, other than equipping, like, something that gives you resistance to it to not take environmental damage, is to move away from the environmental damage. If you are standing in toxic water, get out of the toxic water. If you're standing in the buzzsaw, don't stand in the buzzsaw. Like, I don't really think environmental damage resistance, just because of how easy it is to avoid in the main game, does anything. So I kind of just consider it a moot stat, or, like, something just extra where it's like, it really doesn't make or break the weapon. It just kind of exists. So what you're essentially getting is something where you on hit slow down the enemy, but you are taking a lot more explosive damage, which just not something that I can really get behind, especially on heavy, whose main weakness is explosive damage anyway. This actually makes it so an overhealed heavy can die if a Demo Man hits all 4 of his pills, which is an overhealed heavy is not something you want. You want to just be able to tank as many things as possible. I don't foresee this thing getting a lot of use, but the on-hit slows down enemy could be kind of fun in, like, heavy melee fights. So it's not, like, G-, but I don't feel good putting this anywhere but F. I think in, like, actual Team Fortress 2 and not freaking, like, heavy boxing or something, you wouldn't get that much use out of this. It would just kind of be a liability to have. But again, it does have, like, meme uses, so it's not quite G-. A new rocket launcher for the soldier? What is this? Guaranteed critical hits on headshots, and the cons are minus 50 max health and 25% arrow vulnerability. Oh my god, how do I even rank this? So first of all, I will point out that guaranteed crits on headshots is not feasibly possible for the soldier, because the soldier's hit detection for explosives, not even just the soldiers, the hit detection for any explosives in Team Fortress 2 is not going to accompany headshots. It literally cannot, because it's the splash damage is going to hit more parts of your body than just the headshot. So we're going to run into a situation where it is somehow both a headshot and not a headshot at the same time, so it's like the Schrodinger's headshot, and I don't know, I don't think that could even work. But for the sake of this, I'm going to assume that they have overhauled the system, and we're going to say that if most of the explosion is on the head, then it's a headshot, but if it's like most of the explosions on the body, then it's a body shot. Again, just pretend that that makes sense, because I don't know how this would work in the game. What this would essentially be is like a really risky thing, because mostly you're gonna aim for people's feet as soldier. But I'm not going to negate the fact that this would instantly kill somebody on a headshot, no matter what class they were. I guess not heavy, but like, it's like, if you can just get lucky and, like, hit them on the head with a rocket, and you'd have to be pretty close to do. I guess you wouldn't even, because you could just spam this down corridors, and eventually, if you spam them at head height, one of them's going to hit somebody in the head and blow them up. Even if you're, like, this would make you just a backliner as soldier. This just has so many possibilities. I don't even know what this would be. This is a very, unique weapon, for a lack of more explicit terms. But I think in terms of how this would actually work, this would be an A to B, because it's going to be really difficult to hit people on the head. Don't get me wrong, but if you just spam this down corridors, you're eventually going to hit someone in the head, and that's going to make them take a Crockett and probably instantly kill them. And instantly dying to a rocket which was shot like halfway across the map makes the rocket launcher really, really good. And I really am struggling for words on how to rate this, because this would be just way more out there than it could. A new sticky bomb launcher for the demo man. Pros are 80% explosive damage on wearer, but the cons are you basically can't get healed. I'm going to assume, by the way, I don't know if I mentioned this, but bonus healing is considered healing from healing sources. The only stat that affects health packs, the only weapon that actually affects the healing you're getting from health packs is the back scratcher. I think there are a lot more that make it so. The healing you get from, like, dispensers and medics and stuff are taken away. So that is what I'm considering bonus healing to be. Health packs still give you normal, but you're getting 90% less bonus healing. Here's the interesting thing about this one. I think that this, because it's on deployed, is the only stat that wouldn't give you the healing. Well, you get the 80% explosive damage resistance on wearer, and it's a sticky bomb launcher, so that means you can still use your grenade launcher to decent effect. This would end up being really, really good, because you could have a medic heal you most of the time and just run around with your grenade launcher, and you're going to win the matchups for, like, other demo man or soldiers if you have this. And then you could quickly, if you've won the fight and you're on low health, switch to your sticky bomb launcher, let the medic build a frick ton of Uber off of you, and then if you realize, oh hey, I actually do need the healing, you just keep your grenade launcher out. This would be a very flexible weapon, and I would imagine this being really, really good, especially because it doesn't actually have any other penalties to the sticky bomb launcher itself. It just gives you a resistance and has healing. I personally think this would be, like, in the same situation as the Iron Bomber, where it technically does have a downside, but because of, like, unintended ways that you could use this, it would end up being, like, better than the stock sticky bomb launcher in every single way. I'm gonna go ahead and put this in S+. Some people might think that I'm being a little bit too liberal with S+ and putting, like, too many things in there that aren't traditionally seen as overpowered. But again, remember that my criteria is just, there's no other reason to use anything else. This is the only time that you would ever want, or this is the only weapon that you'd ever select for that weapon slot. And I definitely think that this sticky bomb launcher, kind of similar to the freaking Iron Bomber is now, just a little bit more extreme, because you can't lose a fight to soldiers or demo man. It's just a little bit good. I could probably be convinced to put this in normal S, but I'll leave it in S+ for now and just add this to the list of things you want to comment about because I look through all of them. Yeah, let's continue. A new bottle for the demo man. On hit, plus 12 health points. Okay, hold on a second. Did they update this generator? Because I have never seen this wording before. Usually it says plus 10 health or plus 10 HP. I think health points is a new one. And then cons of minus 85% melee range and 15. I'll talk about why I think they updated this at the end, because I have a couple theories now, but anyway, back to the weapon. This one, 85% melee range and minus 15 health is not enough to convince me to use a worse version of the half Zatoichi. It's kind of gimmicky, and I think if you were, like, right on top of somebody, you could probably stay alive. But, like I said, it's a worth half Zat. I can't think of any situation, whether it's on stock or on demo night, where you'd want to use this, and therefore, the 13 will go into G-. I can't wait to see, like, the concept art that people come up with for this one of just a really tiny bottle in Demo Man's hand. Or maybe it's like a shot glass or something. I don't know, I'm getting ahead of myself. I need to save the art for the art videos. A new pistol for the engineer. Wow, this one looks like a real winner. Pros: 20% arrow damage resistance while deployed, and the cons are just minus 30 max health, minus 90% ammo pool size, so instead of 200 you'd have 20, and 10% explosive damage vulnerability while deployed. Yeah, G-, like, there's, I don't even think, I think the arrow damage actually gets canceled out by the 30 max health, so it's just a direct downgrade, so okay, moving on then. A new pistol for the Scout. Pros: on kill or douses enemy in Girardi. We will assume that is on hit. Plus 10% damage to buildings while deployed. Plus 10% arrow damage resistance on wearer. And regenerate 3 HP per second. And the cons are minus 50% weapon switch speed on wearer. And plus 70% bullet damage vulnerability on wearer. Those two cons really hurt. I was thinking this would be something interesting. On hit, douses enemy in Girardi. That would be a really crazy stat to have as Scout, because this would effectively just be a ranged fan of war. You do get health regen, and you are immune to the Huntsman and or crossbow, if we're considering that to be arrow damage. But the minus 50% weapon switch would kind of neuter the combo that you could get with, like, tag them once with the freaking, the pistol, and then switch, like, the shortstop or something. Really, what this would end up being is just a worse version of the Criticola, because it would give you the same mini-crit effect, but you end up taking way more damage, and you also have to suffer a switch speed. But I guess, in return, you would get a working pistol. I don't know, this one would actually kind of work. I'm gonna throw this in the C to D tier. I think that it could, in fact, probably be in there. Like, I could imagine something like this in TF2. It's not F. You do get a powerful combo, but you are taking a lot of downsides, that can be negated by switching to the Criticola and just using that for your mini crit damage. But again, you do also get a working pistol alongside it. So yeah, I'll keep it in C. I think it's like a diagonally downgrade to the Criticola, if that makes any sense, where it's like kind of a side grade and kind of a downgrade. I don't know. It's kind of weird. A new bow for the sniper. Regenerate 5 points per second. Charge shots decapitate victims. That's not a bonus stat. That's useless. Plus 20% damage resistance while deployed, and plus 70% firing rate on wearer. Holy crap, that would end up making the charge rate faster as well. I actually do have precedence to say that because in Saxton Hale, the stat is plus 20% firing speed on the Huntsman, and that makes it charge 20% faster. And the cons are minus 25 max health, minus 75% weapon switch while deployed, so basically just holster and switch to speed, and 15% explosive damage vulnerability on wear. Personally, I think the ability to basically just have, like, instant charge arrows is kind of worth it to sacrifice 25% health for. Same with the weapon switch speed. Like, you don't get the SMG, but you really don't need it, because, holy crap, like, that's... let me look something up really quick. The arrows charge in about 2 seconds, and plus 70% firing speed, I think means that it would take about, it would take like 0.7 seconds to fully charge, so less than 1. The math is a little bit weird because of how Source handles percentages, but yeah, it would charge really, really quickly is the point, and I think that kind of does negate the cons. So as for a tier, I'm going to go ahead and put this in the A to B. I think this does make you a little bit more of a glass cannon, but holy crap, it has really, really good kill potential, because you end up being able, if you, like, jump around a corner, if you start charging the second you hit jump, you are fully charged before you hit the ground, and that is a crazy amount of burst potential to have. But it is kind of fair, because it does make you a glass cannon, so I'll leave that in A to B. I think that's reasonably, probably not balanced, because that would really suck to fight against, but in terms of, like, pure logistics, that does work out fine. I'm not even gonna read the stats, just look at these, gaze it, take it in. I'm surprised I've not gotten any of these in my actual videos yet, with how much people have commented that they got these. End of the day, it's still an axe that doesn't do anything but give you health. And I don't think the difference between having 180 and 175 health is gonna make a difference as Pyro. So I'm just gonna go ahead and throw this in the... yeah, it's still A to B. It's a direct upgrade. What can I say? It's like... it's kind of like the, honestly, I'm tempted to put this in C, because this is effectively the same situation as the third degree, where it is a direct upgrade, but, like... It doesn't do anything. It doesn't have the same benefits as, like, the actually good unlockables are. But it does give you survivability, so I guess this would be, like, bottom of B tier or top of C tier. I don't know. We'll just leave. I'll put it here so we can even out the tiers, because it'll end up being the same in my, like, final decision anyway. But yeah, okay, let's keep moving. New pair of gloves that basically regenerate 4 HP per second, gives you less max health, gives you a microscopic fall damage vulnerability, and makes it so you cannot get healed by a medic. Okay, wow. Okay, here's the deal with this one. I'm actually going to put this in normal F. I don't think this is quite G-, because if you don't have a medic on your team, like in pubs, this does kind of make you your own medic by allowing you to regenerate for just a small HP penalty. And I think that is actually, like, not too bad. It's kind of in the same situation as the freaking, what is that? The back scratcher. I cannot remember weapon names tonight. Good God. So I'll leave it in F, because, like, you really don't even want to use this ever if there is a medic, and that's a really common situation, but it isn't quite G-, because it does have that scenario going for it, I guess. A new X for the Pyro. Guaranteed mini-crit damage on cloak players, 70% fall damage resistance on wear, and regenerate 3 HP per second, and the cons are you just take more crit damage while deployed. I actually think this would be a nice little thing to pair with the detonator. Guaranteed mini crit damage on cloak players is like, yeah, I can't really be convinced to, like, do that instead of just WM1 them. But regenerating 3 HP per second and having fall damage resistance would actually be a really nice pair with the, like, jetpack or the detonator or something. And I think it would have its place in the actual game had you add that. And the cons are, like, I think that it doesn't change a ton. It does make you... I guess that 35% is significant in terms of crit damage, because that does make you, instead of taking, like... yeah, that would be anything that deals, like, 120 crit damage normally would end up killing the Pyro. I don't know how many things deal 120 crit damage normally, but, like, I'm sure there's something. So I'm gonna put this in the A to B, just because of the niche that it would have, is really, really nice, of just being able to regenerate health and take less fall damage, and you'd pair that really nicely with the detonator. It's not the power jack, it's not, like, better in every situation, I guess, than, like, certain other weapons. There would be some contest, it's not like the perfect jumping weapon, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But, yeah, I think B would be, like, a good tier for this. This would get a lot of use, I'd imagine. Maybe I'm wrong, who knows. Oh my god, what is this? A new sniper rifle, which gives you double charge rate, but you can't shoot while unscoped. I'm thinking S on this. Like, this is like the competitive weapon, basically. It kind of sucks to not be able to shoot unscoped, but it's double charge rate, which takes it down from like 5 seconds to 2.5 seconds, which holy crap, that is a lot of damage you're putting out, to say the least. It's not quite broken, because again, I feel like can't shoot while unscoped does have its penalties, because you can use the sniper rifle as basically a really long-range 50 damage melee, and if someone got up into your field of vision, it would kind of be hard to contest. But it's definitely S. Like, I don't think I can put this anywhere but S. I probably might be able to be convinced by, like, triple S+, if we're strictly looking at, like, competitive. Had a stroke while saying that. But in terms of, like, just in general use, yeah, it's just S. It's basically the same as a, the freaking Bizarre Bargain, but you sacrifice a core function, to skip the setup time of that. So yeah, S is fine for that. So anyway, here are the results from this one. I am quite happy with how this turned out. I got a lot more, moderate results than I did on the first one. So back to my theory of why I think the guy actually updated this. Number one, I mean, this tier list has been getting significantly more attention since I've started doing these. So I'd imagine that, like, somehow through the grapevine, or Teal, or I think Deathwood is the guy who made this specific tier list, somehow got word that, like, hey, people are using this and they're making fun that it's not balanced. I should probably fix that. And the fact of the matter is, it's really, really hard to make a perfectly balanced tier list, or not a tier list, a weapon generator, just due to the random nature of it. You have to put so many checks and balances in there, and you'd have to make it a lot more boring than what it currently is to make it perfectly balanced. But, like, look at this. Every single tier either has 3 or 4 things in it, which is very surprising, especially looking at the last time, which didn't. Now, of course, if I had A, B, C, and D all listed out, they would be very sparse, but the way that I have done this, kind of does... Actually, yeah, I think this is more a credit to the way I've set up the tier list than to the way that the generator does things. But I did get a lot more, like, just really simple but really workable weapons in here, and not as much, like, crazy bullcrap as there was last time. And, who knows, maybe or maybe my Deathwood updated this theory is correct. Maybe I just got really lucky, and who knows. But yeah, let's run the numbers again. So, out of the 21 weapons that I put on this tier list, we actually got a perfect split 3 ways. That makes me very, very happy. 7 of the 21 weapons were completely unusable and would never work in Team Fortress 2. 7 of them could probably be added to Team Fortress 2, but would constantly be complained about because they're either really bad or really good, and another 7 of them are balanced enough that they could be put in the Team Fortress 2, and a lot of people would probably maybe consider them balanced. So a perfect 3-3-3 split, or I guess 33-33-33 split on everything. Very clean samples, and the fact that 1/3 of the weapons I got were usable, and 2/3 of them could realistically be added into the game if you stretch your imagination, is really nice. So, good job if you did upgrade this. If you didn't, good job for me for making a good tier list format, and also getting lucky, because that was definitely my decision. And good job to you, the viewer, for watching all of this video. I couldn't have done it without you. But yeah, real talk, thanks for watching. These are fun to make. I probably won't do a ton more tier lists. I only wanted to do this one because I got a lot of complaints about it last time. And I think in general, these are kind of fun to do. I'll probably be sticking to the ones where I like design the weapon for now, because the tier lists don't have as much content behind them, or I guess as much substance is the word that I'm looking for behind them. We'll see. Maybe if this video gets 10,000 likes, I'll do another one. But until then, thanks for watching. If you have any suggestions for how I could further improve the weapon generator series, whether that's do more of them, do less of them, or fix something specific, be sure to let me know in the comments. And most importantly, have a good one.